Yes. Big up everyone, man. We're back. We're back. I told you, next video up will be the top 10 fullbacks ranked. Obviously, the last video we did was the goalkeeper edition. So of course I had my top 10 goalkeepers. Allison finished off at number one. Make sure you check that video out before you move on to this video. Like I said before, and I will reiterate this at the beginning of every video because I don't know if everybody's watching it in order. Like I said, these are the top 10 players I feel in these positions. Top 10 in these positions. Now, this isn't over a period of just 1 year. This isn't for the 24-25 season. I don't really like doing that because you end up chopping and changing way too much, right? And then it just becomes about it just being on form and stuff like that. Some people get away with it. I don't really like all of that. This is just the top 10 players I feel in world football. If I had to rank them for everything that they've done in their careers, so recent times, longevity, all of that, I feel like it all gets included, within these kind of lists. But listen, without further ado, let's start off with number 10 for the fullback edition. Munoz. I had to put my guy in there. Now, I know some people are going to, like I said, I'm biased. Crystal Palace, so I'm saying that's my dogs. But in all truthfulness, I think he has been, since moving to Crystal Palace, I think he has been absolutely top quality. Absolutely top. Probably alongside someone else on this list, I think he's been the best right back since he joined, Crystal Palace in the Premier League. I think he's also been one of the best right backs, in my opinion, as I've put here in the list, in Europe, if I'm being totally honest with you, just in general. But just in terms of a fullback, I definitely think he's up there. I know there's honorable mentions, and we'll get through those at the end. I could have put in, it was a choice. I will tell you this. It was a choice between him and Carvajal. I would have put Carvajal, but I've never really rated Carvajal like that. I'll be honest with you. I thought when Carvajal, I think he finished third or something, or fourth in the Ballon d'Or, he fully deserved that. And in fact, I felt like he probably could even have finished higher. But let's just say the position he did finish in that Ballon d'Or season, fully deserved. But that's been his best and only good season, like only top season, in my personal opinion. I don't think that Carvajal has been all that throughout his career. What he has been is super consistent, super duper consistent. And like I said, it was really a choice between him and Thing. But when I think of like just fullbacks in general, I'm like, I'd only really be putting in Carvajal obviously for the longevity, but I don't actually think he's been that good though. Like I've never looked at Carvajal and thought, yeah, this is a top right back. I never really have. Again, it would only really be the recency bias where I'd look at someone like Carvajal and I would say, pro in the last couple of seasons, won the Champions League really well, Euros, all it, yeah, 100%. So he could have really have made this list 100, in that 10th position. But I think Munoz has been better as an individual player. Now, obviously, he plays for Crystal Palace. One plays for, Real Madrid. So there is that. But I just think as a player, I think Munoz has been top. I like no bias. I promise you, I feel like he's been top. If you haven't watched Munoz, watch Munoz. And again, you could have put Carvajal in this list purely for the longevity. I could have easily put him in there. But I said last couple of seasons as well, when I've looked at it, obviously he's been injured for one of those years. Obviously, the year before that was then the Ballon d'Or. And then if you go back prior to that, let's not act like Carvajal was being named in like top fullbacks out there. You had the likes of Trent, the Reece Jameses, the people of that kind of ilk. And then you've got all of the other guys, the left backs, the Andrew Robertsons, obviously of the past, Hakimi's in there, the Nuno. Like I feel like there's been bare fullbacks who have just kind of been better than a Carvajal. So that's kind of why, I've got Munoz. And I said, no, I think Munoz in the last 18 months, he's, in my opinion, he's proved that now he's one of the best fullbacks in Europe right now. Better than a lot of them. Good going forward, good defensively. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got the perfect balance that you kind of need for a team like Crystal Palace, 100%. And I think if he was in a better team, you just notice it more. You would honestly notice it more. It's a bit like who I've got in number 9. I think you could swap Dumfries for Munoz, and you would get like everything that Inter Milan have won since Dumfries obviously joined. That wouldn't have changed, and I think Munoz would have performed better on bigger stages. That's the only thing that's holding him back here is that I believe, from what I can remember of this list, he's the only one who hasn't played. I don't think he played Champions League football with Genk. I'm not 100% sure, but he's the only one who hasn't consistently played Champions League football. I can tell you that much. Whereas all the rest of these guys, they're Champions League veterans. They've been doing this for like 5, 6, 7 seasons. You know, I mean, some of these guys have won the Champions League. Like it's a bit different, you know. So that kind of pressure, that kind of level, showing it in the Champions League, which Dumfries has done. That's why I've got him in ninth. Now, I don't really. Dumfries is in the Carvajal category. I don't really rate him like that. But last season kind of elevated it. So he would have been 10th or 11th last season. And I feel like off the back of that Champions League campaign, you moved up a place. You just moved up a place, in my personal opinion. You know what I mean? Because I look at someone like Dumfries and I think to myself, you got kind of the bozo gene. I don't know, it's weird with you. Like, you've got the bozo gene, but then again, like Donnarumma we spoke about in the goalkeeper top 10, you then will have these moments and these games where man is performing at like some elite level down that right hand side. Elite level. We saw the semi-final against Barcelona last season. But even in previous seasons, I've looked at him and I just thought, there's something about you that makes me think you are good, obviously. Inter Milan wouldn't keep you there for that long if you weren't. And you do perform, but I like sometimes I sit there and think maybe I'm just a jinx because I feel like at times I'll be watching you. Like, let's say in a season, right? I might note it or I might watch an Inter Milan, let's say 10 games a season, maybe even if that. But let's say at most 10 games. Most and majority of those are going to be Champions League games and maybe let's say 3 or 4 Serie A games. The rest will just be highlights, you know, kind of thing, right? But let's say about 10 games I'll watch of an Inter Milan team. And in those 10 games, I feel like in 5 of them I'm seeing mistakes, but in the other 5 I'm seeing elite performances. Now, that doesn't obviously he's got his then meaty games like every footballer has, but I just don't really notice those too much. I either see him being extremely elite or poor or just making mistakes. There's never a middle ground. And like I said, I don't watch Inter Milan religiously. I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say, oh yeah, I watch. I don't. But like I said, about 10 games a season, I might watch of an Inter Milan team, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, it's just one of those with Dumfries. Like I don't feel like he's that good, but then something in my head is telling me, nah, but he is. Like when you've seen him, he's done enough. He's done enough to warrant being in that position. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I've just got him in ninth, just ahead of Munoz. In eighth, Alphonso Davies, man. He would be higher in this list were it not for the amount of injuries that he's had, you know, the last couple of seasons. Missed quite a lot of football. Missed quite a lot of football. And I think someone as talented as him, I'm just hoping that this doesn't derail. Because at one point I would have said, nah, he's like a top 2, top 3 fullback at minimum. And he held that position for at least 3 years, at least. Do you get what I'm saying? And I just think that, yeah, now you're slowly starting to tumble a little bit, my friend. You are starting to tumble a little bit. Do you know what I mean? You just got to be a little bit careful. You got to be a little bit careful because, you know, you can tumble down these kind of lists very quick because football moves on and moves forward. Do you know what I mean? The game is always evolving. You know what I mean? But if we're just talking about the player, athletic as hell, fast as hell, brilliant going forward. He's so good that I remember watching Bayern Munich a few seasons back, and you're seeing him on the left-hand side, but they had no left winger. He was the left winger, but he was also the left back. That's how fast and energetic he is, that he can go up and down the pitch and he can have that whole side to himself. They didn't even need to put someone else, like they didn't need to have him as a left back and someone else as a left winger because he was going to occupy that role and they knew he could occupy that role. I don't think I've ever seen that with a fullback. That's one thing I will say. I've never seen a fullback who they thought, nah, we're kind of good. Like he can fill in both positions more or less at the exact same time. And that's kind of what he was doing at the time. He was filling in both positions. You know, he top fullback. But like I said, it's just the injuries that have just kind of knocked him down this kind of list. And I feel like the others have just kind of improved. And some have just remained consistent without the injury. So they will just be higher naturally. But listen, Alphonso Davies is still one of the best fullbacks out there. Next up, we've got DeMarco. Now, DeMarco, I like. And again, he's another one of those guys. I've always thought to myself, you know what? Like, there's something about you that when I watch, I'm like, technically one of the best fullbacks in world football, easily. Like, very, very good. Crosses into the box, free kicks, corners, all of that kind of stuff. He's got that in his locker. But I just think even just as a fullback or wing back, if you want to call him that, I just think he's really, really good. I just think he's, I was about to use bog standard, but that's a bit rude. He does exactly what Inter Milan need him to do, if that kind of makes sense. What they need from a wing back, he provides that tenfold. Better than a Dumfries, for example. He's great going forward. He's good defensively. You know what I mean? 1v1s, I've seen him. He's really, really good in those kind of situations. He's just a top fullback, or top wing back, should I say. So I've definitely thought over the years, yeah, man, like he's just improved, and he's had like a few of those seasons. I would say twice now that Inter Milan have gotten to the Champions League final. Obviously, they've lost those, but in those campaigns, I've looked at DeMarco as, nah, you've performed though. You yourself have performed in those kind of campaigns. So, yeah, man, over the years, I think he's warranted finishing in this position. Next up, my guy, Balde. Balde. He could have been higher, but again, got injured back in last season. Season before that, I felt like I would have put him like 10th, but then he had a really good season, in my opinion, and he's just grown. He just seems like he's a guy that, yeah, I feel like he'll be rivaling the other guys that we know are coming up in this list. Like he'll be rivaling for that top 2, top 3 place very soon. I think this year he would need to have the kind of season he had maybe I would say a couple of seasons ago. Maybe even if I'm being, in fact, I'll probably even say from last season, because I thought last season was really good up until his injury. Like, and I felt like Barcelona missed him towards the back end of the season in terms of the Champions League. I really did, because he was so good. And he's one of those players, like, technically, I would say from everyone on this list, technically, he's definitely top 2. And he may not be number 2. But in my head, I'm just trying to think without giving it away too much. Yeah, I would say he's top 2 technically. And he is good defensively. I know people think, yeah, because he can dribble, he can step overs, and like I'm telling you, 1v1s, he is good. He is good. He's got this enthusiasm about him when he does the 1v1s, but he is good at those. He is really, really good. So yeah, I had to rank him in. I felt like this will be a perfect kind of position, for him. Next up, we got Trent, man. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Tumbled down this. I say tumbled. Gone down the list. I do think last season wasn't that great of a season. Season before that, I thought he was okay. Like I just thought like, oh, he's all right. Like he almost was like maintaining a level, but without really going too far, if I'm being honest. This season hasn't really started too great either. So I would say in the last 3 years, he was a better player 3 to 4 years ago than he is now. I'll tell you that much. I don't think he's improved in that time. Like, let's picture that. Yeah. I'll say that. He hasn't improved since 3 to 4 years ago. But the level that he was performing at was pretty high. So it would have been difficult to maintain that. But in the last 3 to 4 years, nah, I feel like you've not gotten any better. I don't want to say worse because it sounds worse, but I do think, yeah, you probably regressed a little bit. You've been picking up knocks like there's no tomorrow as well. Don't know what's going on with that at this moment in time, but still a top fullback, still a top wingback, whatever you want to call him. And passing wise, yeah, like the technique on his passing and stuff, yeah, nobody on this list is better than him. Like nobody, and nobody's close. I'll be honest with you. Nobody's as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold when we're just talking about the passing. But that's kind of what we've got with Trent, is that passing, he's always going to be the best. He's always going to be seen as the guy and blah, 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 right? But in general, yeah, I don't. I think he has kind of regressed a little bit. This season he's going to want to prove something, obviously, with Real Madrid. Just needs to get over these injuries. Get over the injuries, and I think he'll be good. That's why I've got Timber ahead of him. I think Timber in the last couple of seasons especially has definitely surpassed the Trent Alexander-Arnold. I do think that him for Arsenal is vital. He can play left back, he can play right back, play centre back. Heck, I think he can play in midfield as well, defensive mid. He's a versatile defender, but even just as a fullback, he is quality. Quality. He's not the best going forward. I will say that. Like, if there's probably about 5 or 6 players I would say are better than him going forward. But again, we talk about the balance. Remember, I spoke about this in terms of the goalkeepers. He is exactly, if you guys watch the goalkeeper one, he's exactly he's like the David Raya of the defense. In terms of you're actually good going forward, you're good going the other way. You're not elite at anything, but you're good, but at both ends. Like, you're really good. I don't think there's anything elite about him, but there's not many in terms of who are elite at many things. But just in general, you are really good going, like, no, that's a lie. You're average going forward, but you're really, really good defensively. So it's like when you mesh them together, that's like, no, that's actually pretty decent. That's actually pretty decent when you think of a player like that, kind of thing. And just some of the performances he's put in over the last couple of seasons since joining Arsenal. And remember as well, being injured when joining Arsenal as well. yeah, like I've looked at Timber and thought, nah, this guy he's fucking cold. He is absolutely cold, man. Like definitely a fullback I wish we would have gone in for. You know, I definitely think he would have improved the team, especially just from a defensive standpoint. He really, really would have helped out, you know, Liverpool in that sense. But listen, he's at Arsenal, he's doing his thing, and hopefully, yeah, he can just continue that. Now we're getting into what we now into the top three. Top three. I've got Kunde. Big up to Kunde because he's only now entered the top three in the last 12 months. Would have put him out of there. I would have had him maybe fourth or fifth before, but in the last 12 months, he's shown me, yeah, I'm levels. I've been able to consistently perform for Barcelona throughout that time. And you know, I don't really like doing one season stuff, but that's more towards, I'd say, in context or to elaborate on that. That's more in terms of like if someone has a really, really good season, like one good season, and they've never had that kind of season before in terms of they've never been having the top seasons before, then I'm like, I don't really like throwing them in too far ahead kind of thing. But he's been calm for Barcelona. He's actually been pretty decent since joining Barcelona. He was really good at Sevilla as well. Obviously not this good, but he was good at Sevilla. Can play centre back as we know, but since they're moving into that fullback role, he has just you know what he is? Between him and Timber, he's exactly like Timber, but he's better going forward. Hence why I will have Timber just below him. Just. But he is exactly what Timber is. Brilliant defensively, but Timber's just average going forward. He's actually pretty decent going forward. Like when I see him in those forward areas, I'm like, obviously it still looks like a fullback is in that area, but you look a bit more comfortable. Whereas I don't feel like that with Timber. I don't look at him and think, oh, you look comfortable. It just looks like, oh yeah, I'm a fullback in this position. I don't really know what to do. He knows what he's doing, man. Top fullback. Top fullback. Second, I got Hakimi. Man. I mean, I think obviously you guys already will know who's going to be number one. Then it's going to be his partner in crime, and that's obviously Nuno Mendes. I'll be honest, between these two, when I'm looking at it, I've got Hakimi in second. Some people got Hakimi first, and then Nuno Mendes is actually far down the list. For me, Nuno Mendes has been a top fullback for time. If he didn't get that injury that left him out for God knows however long he got that injury for, I think we would be looking at him now, and it would be more of a general consensus that now Nuno Mendes is the best fullback in the world. It was purely because of that injury, because his trajectory was just going like that anyway. And then got injured, and then it's, you slow down again, time moves on, things happen within that time. People start looking at the likes of like the Grimaldos and all these kind of Frimpongs and all these kind of guys, right? But when I think about it, for me, between these two, I think Mendes is elite defensively. I do think he's an elite defensive player, and he is good going forward. I think Hakimi is an elite attacking fullback, and he is good defensively. So you kind of look at it. So you like they're both in my opinion are elite at something, right? In their respective positions. Hakimi, elite attacking fullback. Mendes is an elite defensive fullback. Mendes is good going forward. Hakimi is good defensively. Honestly, you can swap either one. This is probably one position I'm like, I wouldn't care who's first or second. I've just got Mendes there because when I then boil it down to just in terms of being a fullback, and if I had to choose a fullback between the two in an important Champions League final, whatever, I probably lean more towards having someone like a Nuno Mendes. But if you said Hakimi, I'm not going to stress you about it. So that's who I've got. In second place, obviously, like I said, Hakimi and then Nuno Mendes. But let me know. What do you guys think? Like I said, honorable mentions, of course. Like I mentioned, you got Carvajal, who, again, like I said, for longevity, you could have put him in there, but just not really my kind of flavor. You could have put Grimaldo, who obviously did really, really well buying Leverkusen. I know in some lists I've seen Frimpong as a wing back in there as well. Again, you could have thrown him in there. There's probably a few. Cucurella, I thought, was another one I honestly was thinking about. Is between him and Munoz. I just think that Munoz has been a little bit better than Cucurella. There's probably a few more that I'm missing out anyway. There's probably a few more that I'm missing out. who have probably performed. Maybe I've just not seen enough of them to be able to put them in these kind of lists. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. So I'll quickly run through everything again, and then you guys can let me know in the comment sections which one and who you guys would put there. So in first place, I've got Nuno Mendes. Second, Hakimi. Third, Kunde. Fourth, Julian Timber. Fifth, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Sixth, Alejandro Balde. Seventh, DeMarco. Eighth, Alphonso Davies. Ninth, Dumfries. And 10th, Munoz. Let me know, people. Let me know. Am I crazy? Am I wild? Are there some crazy picks in there? Who did I forget? You know, kind of thing. Also, as well, before someone even mentions it, I didn't put Vardial in this list because Vardial is a weird one. I don't really know what to class him as nowadays. Like I'm confused. Like, is he a fullback? Not really. But is he a centre back? Maybe I'd put him in the centre back category. So just for the sake of argument, so that people don't ask, if I haven't done the centre back one yet, so I still need to think about who I'm going to put there. But if I'm going to think Vardial is a centre back. Just for the point of this top 10, I'm going to lean more towards him being a centre back. So in case anybody starts thinking, oh my God, why didn't he put Vardial in that left backs? Yes, he has played left backs. He's played left back numerous times, but I see him more as a centre back. So I'm going to put him in as the centre back because last season for Man City, he was a centre back, or he was a left back, should I say. But then this season, he's a centre back. I don't know, man. It's a bit unfair, but I'm going to put him in the list of centre backs just for the sake of it. But again, if I was to put him in here, he definitely would have been in that top 10. And I probably wouldn't have put Munoz or even potentially Dumfries, within that. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts, comment section. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.